الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the series of Friday sermon discussions brought to you by Majlis Khuddam al UK Tarbiyyat Department on the Blessed Friday sermons delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen Edat Allah bin Aziz. I'm extremely pleased to be joined by Naib Sadr Usman Ahmed Saib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you, Usman Saab.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
We witnessed a wonderful Friday sermon delivered by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen earlier today. Please, could you provide us a summary of that?
Of course, I think all of them are amazing Friday sermons, and especially these ones in which Hazrat Ameerul Momineen Hazrat bin Aziz has been narrating the companions, the companions who accompanied Hazrat Rasulullah in the Battle of Badr. So, as you know, the Huzoor Aidullah bin Aziz has continued talking about Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu. And what struck me the most from today's Friday sermon was how at every moment, in times of happiness and in times of war, in times of difficulties, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq was always with Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as you might remember from the Friday sermon today, when Muslims were entering Mecca, and when they settled down throughout that journey, and then when everyone was sitting down, how Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq was standing guard by Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the companions were surrounding him. Then Huzoor mentioned about the Battle of Hunan, and I think it's yes, it's a battle, and there were many difficulties faced by Muslims during that battle, and as Huzoor is narrated today, was that there was a time when there were only 12 Sahabas, 12 companions remained, because the attack was such a sudden attack that the other Muslims felt they were taken aback, and some of them turned around and they ran away. But there were only 12 companions around Hazrat Rasulullah, and there was a moment when Hazrat Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu grabbed the reins of the horse of Hazrat Rasulullah and requested Huzoor to turn around and return. And so this shows such love and devotion towards Hazrat Rasulullah that he was so much worried about Rasulullah that maybe this is the time. And he was the foremost, right? He was next to, it seems as he was next to Hazrat Rasulullah throughout. So he grabbed the reins of the horse and requested Rasulullah that we should turn back. And it was probably the weakest moment during the war. And look how beautifully Hazrat Rasulullah, right? He replied that, I am the true prophet of Allah Ta'ala, and I will not turn back. And look how the Muslims responded to it, and how Hazrat Abu Bakr announced to the Muslims. Despite that, he could see that it's a very difficult time, but he had full belief that Rasulullah is the true prophet of Allah Ta'ala. So this is basically an example of a true believer, where they advised Hazrat Rasulullah that based on my thinking, this is the weakest moment of the war. Things are not going our way. Maybe we should turn around. But when the Prophet of Allah or whoever is your Amir, when he has instructed you that no, we will remain here and we will fight, then he was ready to fight. with Hazrat Rasul, and I think that was really beautiful. Then Huzoor mentioned again, I think this is a very famous narration from the time of Hazrat Rasul. We've heard this hadith many times, that when for the mission of Tabuk, for the battle of Tabuk, when Muslims were getting ready, Rasulullah requested companions to offer financial sacrifice. And Hazrat Abu Bakr, as always, he came with all of his wealth and everything that he had. And when Hazrat Rasulullah asked, what have you left for your family members? And he said, nothing, only Allah Ta'ala and my Prophet of Allah. And Hazrat Umar responding to that, he said that was the moment when I thought, now this is the time when I will surpass Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. And then he said that I realized later on that Hazrat Abu Bakr had offered all of his wealth and everything he had, and he basically said that I've given up. There's no way that I can compete. I can compete with Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq. So you could see, I think, from today's Friday sermon, if there's one takeaway point, it is that the love, the devotion that Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq had for Hazrat Rasulullah and what he achieved during the life of Rasulullah and after the life, as you can see. I mean, he was the foremost. And look how Allah Ta'ala raised his status, that he was the first Khalifa of Hazrat Rasulullah after Huzoor's demise. And this was only due to the obedience and the love that he had for the Holy Prophet Sallallahu
Jazakallah, Usman Saab. The point that you mentioned around Hazrat Umar getting to a point where he just said, "Oh, I can't compete with him." That was even during the sermon itself. It really made me chuckle because I just felt like it was a Khadim nowadays. Maybe on the football field, and it's like, "Oh, this guy's just too good. You can't compete with him," and it just felt like that. And it was beautiful that two companions that were vying with each other in good works.
Exactly.
Also had that same thing. Just another point, Usman Saab, to direct back at you, as you mentioned as well, that this series is a continuation of initially the companions of the Holy Prophet ﷺ that participated in the Battle of Badr. Then we've also been through all four Khulafa of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, and now on the series of Hazrat Abu Bakr Radhiyallahu Ta'ala anhu. For you and for us Khudam generally, what is the significance of this series?
I think we should remember that what Huzoor ibn Asazi is doing is simply not narrating the stories of Sahabas, right? He's not giving us a lecture on the history of Islam. What he is trying to tell us, and there is a deep message in this, that look, that was the time of the Sahabas, of companions of Hazrat Rasulullah, and look how they sacrificed everything that they had. They were ready to sacrifice their life even, right? That was the most prized thing anyone has, which is their own life, and they were ready to give up that life for Islam and for Hazrat Rasulullah. And this is our time, and we've been asked to sacrifice not our life, but our time and our wealth for the sake of Islam and for the propagation of Islam. And that was their jihad, and this is our jihad. So look at the examples of Sahabas and what they achieved. The reason that we remember them even now, and the fact that their stories are being narrated by Hazrat Ameerul Momineen is because they achieved which no one else could achieve. And so there is so much that we can learn from their examples, how they protected the Rasulullah, and then after Rasulullah, how the companions gathered around the Khulafa, and the obedience and the love, the devotion they showed towards Rasulullah and the Khulafa Rashidin afterwards. And we should be exactly the same with with Hazrat Masih Maud, who is Imam of this age, and or the Khulafa, Khulafa of Hazrat Masih Maud. And as you know, we should be the first and the foremost in acting upon the instructions of Hazrat Ameerul Momineen. You know, as soon as the word comes out of Huzoor's mouth that this is what I expect from you, we should be the foremost in showing obedience and acting upon those instructions. So we are not, as I was saying, we're not expected to, maybe a time will come when we will be expected to even sacrifice our life. But I think in this day and age, all we've been asked is to sacrifice our time, our wealth, our honor for the sake of Islam. We take that pledge every meeting that we go to. In the 10 conditions of Bayat, we take the same pledge with Hazrat Masih Maud. So it is all these narrations and the stories that Huzoor is telling us is for our reformation, so that we can learn from those Sahabas and we can be the same and may be able to achieve what they achieved in the end, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah, Usman Saab, for your summary of the Friday sermon. Regular viewers of this show will know that the Friday sermon discussion ends with an extract from the Friday sermon itself. So let's watch that now.
حضرت ابوبکر نے غزوہ تبوک کے موقع پر اپنا جو کل مال آن رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم پیش کیا تھا اس کی مالیت 4000 درہم تھی. رسول کریم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے جب صحابہ کرام کو غزوہ تبوک کی تیاری کے لیے حکم دیا تو آپ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے مکہ اور دیگر قبائل عرب کی طرف پیغام بھیجا کہ وہ بھی آپ کے ساتھ چلیں، اور آپ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے عمراء کو اللہ کی راہ میں مال خرچ کرنے اور سواری مہیا کرنے کی تحریک فرمائی. یعنی آپ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے اس بات کا انہیں تاکیدی حکم دیا، اور یہ آپ کا آخری غزوہ ہے. چنانچہ اس موقع پر جو شخص سب سے پہلے مال لے کر آیا وہ حضرت ابوبکر صدیق رضی اللہ عنہ تھے. آپ یعنی حضرت ابوبکر اپنے گھر کا سارا مال لے آئے جو کہ 4000 درہم تھا. رسول اللہ صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے حضرت ابوبکر سے دریافت فرمایا کہ اپنے گھر والوں کے لیے بھی کچھ چھوڑا ہے کہ نہیں؟ تو انہوں نے عرض کیا کہ گھر والوں کے لیے اللہ اور اس کا رسول چھوڑ آیا ہوں. حضرت عمر بن خطاب اپنے گھر کا آدھا مال لے آئے. حضرت صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے حضرت عمر سے دریافت کیا کہ اپنے گھر والوں کے لیے بھی کچھ چھوڑ کے آئے ہو؟ تو انہوں نے عرض کیا کہ نصف چھوڑ کے آیا ہوں. حضرت مسیح علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام فرماتے ہیں کہ ایک وہ زمانہ تھا کہ الہی دین پر لوگ اپنی جانوں کو بھیڑ بکری کی طرح نثار کرتے تھے، مالوں کا تو کیا ذکر. حضرت ابوبکر صدیق رضی اللہ تعالیٰ عنہ نے ایک سے زیادہ دفعہ اپنا کل گھر بار نثار کیا، حتیٰ کہ سوئی تک کو بھی اپنے گھر میں نہ رکھا. اور ایسا ہی حضرت عمر نے اپنی بساط اور انشراح کے موافق، اور عثمان نے اپنی طاقت و حیثیت کے موافق، علی حاضر القیاس علی قدر مراتب، تمام صحابہ اپنی جانوں اور مالوں سمیت اس دین الہی پر قربان کرنے کے لیے تیار ہو گئے.